In this video, we're installing Armstrong Ceilings WoodHaven Plank in a basement remodeling application. We're going to show you the basics, and we're going to show a few situations unique to this basement that we hope helps you on your next basement remodeling project. The first step in basement remodeling is making materials mobile. I guarantee you, if you put this on the floor, it will be in your way. If you put it on something that moves, you can move it wherever you want, whenever you want. If your basement renovation project includes new lighting, you have to communicate with your future self now. These tape marks on the floor, and they're all over the place, are our final layout for lighting, which we'll project up to the ceiling later. But without this Rosetta Stone, once I cover our rough wiring installation, if I don't know where that is, I don't know where this is, and that's a problem. A couple things going on here. First, we're marking the ceiling 2 inches in from the edge for our easy up rail system. And second, I need to be both a little taller and a lot mobile. Rather than drag a ladder around the room, what I do is use a small stool and I kick it ahead of me. I also use my rolling scaffold. This helps me with materials. Then we snap lines, and then we are going to install the easy up rail system. To that end, I also use a different rolling bench that I made so I can pick up and manage materials all at once. Instead of carrying them, I wheel them. The easy up rail system gets screwed to the bottom of the joists. What we need to deal with, and we'll talk about this more in detail later, is the unevenness of the rough framing. At this point, I need to cut an easy up rail. Now, I could just bypass it with a full rail, but that seems like a waste to me. So I just take a Sharpie, I mark it, and I take it outside and zap it with the angle grinder. No need to waste materials. Back inside, I continue screwing up the easy up rail system, and I tried a couple of different types of screws here. I tried a flathead or wafer head screw, but I ended up landing on bugle head screws as my preferred type. The field easy up rails go in every 2 feet. There I am using a pan head screw. And of course, as with all basements, you're never done demo, so don't put all your tools away until you're ready to put all your tools away. We got to deal with the termination at the stairwell, and we've got our easy up rail system in. It's starting to take shape. We have a bump there, we have a hollow here, and we've got to get that all in plane. The instructions call it level. They mean in plane or flat. And we'll just do that with some shims. Just adjusting the rail on the shank. That's flat. Think of this project like this. We have to get everything flat as possible, north and south, east and west. I kind of was in mind of putting a screen protector on a device. We're just trying to massage the bubbles out. It's almost a little irrational, except that it works great. And there's a point where perfection is the enemy of good medicine. There's dead flat, which you can get, or there's reasonably flat, within a 16th or so. You're never going to see that in the finished product. Sometimes you have to decide between productivity and perfection. If you're remodeling, especially in an old house, every project is a prototype. Here, a cold air return got in our way. We have our standoff blocks against the wall, there's one, and we've got to deal with fastening the ceiling to the ceiling. God, tip. When you're using this stuff, leave a tab. Where's the end of it? Little arithmetic here. The goal of this equation is to get your beginning piece and your end piece the same as each other. Make sure to rip off the tongue side on your table saw. We'll go over here. And this needs to get fastened to our blocks. I'll countersink a hole right here. We'll cover with trim later. Groove to the room. We'll screw it up to our blocks. This is our spacer. Just snug that screw in there. Now I'll hit the easy up clips into the groove, into the groove, into the groove. And that is nice and straight. Piece from the side groove side, it's grooved right here. Do this minus 3/4. $56.5. Cutting the groove side off. Save that for later. Tongue meet groove. Cut side meet spacers. Easy up clip meet groove. Screw meet block. That looks very straight to me too. Now, let's install the rest of the ceiling. We'll start here with a shorty. Get our spacing left and right. This is where the rolling scaffold really pays off. Yeah, you can do this on a ladder, but you're going to be in dire straits. With the rolling scaffold, not only can I roll it wherever I want, whenever I want, I can move along the workpiece and get it installed and adjusted just so without having to get up and down and do something else. As far as wiring goes, we laid this out months ago, and I've transferred it from the slab up through the floor, and I found that I'm going to hit a joist. So I just move my lighting location, making sure to match that if there's a corresponding light. So you got to make decisions about your lighting. If your lighting layout perhaps engages with a joist or there's something else not seen in the beginning, you've got to be able to communicate to your future self. Tongue in, tongue in. Tappy, tap. I like to load up the easy up rails with about 4 clips per rail. I'll stop installing. I keep the clips in a bucket on my rolling scaffold, pop them on, then I'll grab the next cluster of ceiling materials and get it installed. I found that it takes a bump of your hand to kind of seat it sometimes, but it fits so tight and nice. It's really fun to work with this stuff. And the other reason I love it is I don't have to stare down an ocean of drywall that I have to finish. This is factory finished. It's beautiful. It's got a linen texture, and the customer loves it. So what's about to happen as I progress across the room is I'm going to interact with the stairwell. And you can see it behind me right there. And one of the issues with working in old houses, especially basements, is they were never meant to be finished. So I have to fabricate a transition here, and I used a bunch of 1x and my table saw and my brad nailer, and I just found a way to combine the ceiling with the stairwell and make it all look like it just grew there. All right, I'm happy. That's a ceiling. Our design juju here serves several masters. We used to do this when we did accelerated builds for TV shows. As you can see, the walls are clad with Luan plywood. They don't need to be finished. They can be, but we don't have to finish them. That's a budget saver right there. Armstrong WoodHaven Plank's ceiling system requires a horizontal strip to cover the ceiling end's expansion joint. That, combined with our vertical moldings, creates a paneled look. Those vertical moldings cover the seams in the plywood. So I'm installing my vertical trim in my paneled out basement renovation project, and there are two ways to read the tape measure. One, you can stand here, go like this, and get it wrong because of a thing called parallax. You're looking at it at an angle. Or come up and look at it dead on and make sure you're reading the tape correctly. For inside and outside corners, we bevel 1x2s at a 45-degree bevel, obviously, on the table saw. Now there's something to know before you get into this, which is one side of this molding is good, the other side is bad. The one good side is factory primed twice, and it's built up so nicely it practically looks painted. We'll cut it on the table saw, then back in the shop, using the work table and the miter saw as a backstop, we'll assemble them. I use a 1-inch brad here, and I leave the ends about 6 inches without a fastener because I know I'm going to have to cut it. At the corner location itself, I position the top as well as I can, make sure to press it into the work, and then get brads into framing, and kapow! There's an outside corner. And here's an inside corner. I position the work pieces such that the good side, the double primed side, is facing the room. That takes a little bit of mental gymnastics, but it's worth it. A second piece of molding is required to cover the expansion gap between the ceiling and the wall. Armstrong calls for crown molding here. I chose a stepped up look, 1x2 and quarter round. Obviously, quarter round is intended typically for flooring installs, but we went for a different look. I mean, the whole place is a different look. Why stop now? A little bit of learning curve here. We had to nest the quarter round in the saw the way it sits on the wall. Otherwise, we love the look and we do it again. Here we go. Basement remodel.